where did you grow up?
I grew up in Dallas, Texas.
And your family, did you grow up with your mother and father?
Yes, sir. They immigrated from Canada and moved down here when I was 4 years old. Okay. And my brother was born here in Garland, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas, in 1962. So, yeah, it was right after we moved here.
And so how would you describe your childhood?
It was not bad. My childhood really wasn't bad. I went to school. I had my parents living at home. They were doing pretty well up until it was, I want to say it was about 10 or 11 years old, and I guess they had some difficulties, and they drank. Okay, my parents, my dad and my mom used to drink alcohol every night. I mean, it was just automatic, and after about 7 o'clock at night, I couldn't talk to them because they were buzzed so much that they were just interacting with each other in a negative way. They were arguing and fighting and calling each other names. And as time went by, my dad started getting physical with my mom. That was when I was about 15, 16 years old. And I was so happy when I turned 18 and graduated college. Now, mind you, when I graduated high school, I was 18 years old in March of that year, so I was still in school. I was able to drink alcohol legally, okay, in the state of Texas. In fact, you could drive with an open container and not get pulled over at that point. So I had started drinking because I thought it was normal, okay, and I was drinking excessively, really, when I was 16 years old. I started drinking at 16. And my parents would give me beer, and I would drink it, and I would drink till I passed out, basically. And they told me some stuff I said to them that I don't recall. I was blacked out. And I was 16, 17 years old. I was blacking out already. But I didn't see that. I thought that was normal. I thought people did that daily because that's what my parents did. I got out of the house at 18 and let me go back. When I was 16, I got a job in a pharmacy, all right? And I found out the drugs that they had to keep track of for the federal government and the ones that they don't. And the ones that they don't are like, at that time was like Tylenol 3 had codeine in it and Valium. They didn't care about Valium. So I was able to steal, basically, hundreds of tablets of these pills because they come in 5,000 count bottles. And I asked the pharmacy addict here that I am what the breakage amount percentage was. So I made sure to take a small amount of each one of those because they were going to be broke. They were considering them lost. So anyway, and I got addicted to the codeine and the Valium, and I was drinking, and it was not good. And I did get clean when I was 24. I went to a rehab center. It didn't have God in it, though, but it did introduce me to NA. And that was in 1984. And I was managed, and I got clean. And I stayed clean for almost 20 years, okay? I got a good job. I had a house. I had a family. I had married and had a family. In fact, I had divorced one wife and had a second wife and had a family with her. And in 2004, I lost my job, and I went started driving trucks across the country for a living. And after a couple of years, I got into the driver management part of that job, and I started drinking. I started living with my dad again, and my mom had passed away, and I started drinking again with him. And I didn't think of it as like falling off, but I did. I started drinking more and more and more. I was starting to drink till I passed out. I'd made it to work. I always made it to work. He passed away in 2010, so I was with him for about 4 years. He passed away in 2010, and after about a month, I got to the point where I was ready to, and I'd started smoking marijuana again and drinking. At that point, I was smoking marijuana again, and I decided, well, I'm going to get high on methamphetamine like I used to. Okay, because that was my drug of choice. I love that stuff. And I started using. And from 2006, that's when my dad died. 2006 to 2000, well, till I got here, I was using. I lost everything. I lost my house. I lost my family. I was living on the street. Okay, I came to Houston. I don't know why. I guess God brought me here basically because I remember before I came to Houston, I had asked God while I was getting high to help me stop, and I was sincere about that. But I couldn't stop, man. I kept going, kept going. Uh, Came to Houston, was rejected by my family here. They didn't want me around because I was hanging out with some pretty bad actors. I had a lot of friends in the Aryan Brotherhood prison gang. I had met them when I was using my methamphetamine. That's where I was getting it from in Dallas. And I was trying to get away from all that. All the people I knew were going to jail for an extended period of time, like 10, 15 years. And I was the only one left. And I was going, man, they're going to come get me. I need to get out of here. Came to Houston. Nobody wanted me to live with them. So I ended up on the street. Went to Salvation Army for a month because I still had a little bit of income from not workers comp, but unemployment. And so I was able to pay $10 a day, and I was wandering around. They kick you out in the daytime. I was at Denver Harbor. It was like being in county jail, only you get to leave. And you had to come back at 4 o'clock, get in line. And if you got in line, you could get inside, and then you can't leave. Okay. And I was still using at the time. I was able to, even though I was homeless, Satan was able to get me some dope. And, he's keeping me on the string and waiting for me to die, basically. And I remember I was trying to get my driver's license back, and I was downtown on Main Street at a church. And I was in line, and the open door mission van pulled up, and some guys came out and started talking to me about the mission and how they had been where I was. And they encouraged me to come over here and see if I could get in the program. I said, okay, I need this. I knew I needed something because I was homeless, I was helpless, hopeless. I was in bad shape. So I came to the mission, and they admitted me on I think it was a Monday or Tuesday. I rode the bus here. They didn't have the rail in. It was back in 2012, October of 2012, the very beginning of October. I was going to leave after 3 months. I figured that's how far I needed to go. But then I was sitting in here one day, and I'll never forget this. My mind had cleared up. It was probably after about 2.5, 3 months. My mind had cleared up from all the dope that I had been taking. And I started thinking, I had always wondered. First off, I realized God had sent me here, and I had to go through what I had gone through to get here. Without that, I wouldn't have made it here. I had to go through the bad because I had asked him for help, and he didn't give it to me the way I wanted it to. He gave it to me the way I needed it. And so I ended up here, and I started thinking, these people here give me clothes, they give me food, they give me shelter, and they don't ask much. They asked me to go to some classes, help out around here, which I was happy to do. And it dawned on me that this is what Christians do. They love you without expecting anything from you. They just give you love, take care of you. And I was like, I like this. I understand this now. I understand Christ and God and how he helps through other people. So I decided I would like to do that. And I was doing the 12 steps with a sponsor. And I did the 12 steps, and when I first did them, I thought, oh, that's all I got to do. And then I realized, no, wait a minute, I got to do this on a daily basis. I got to work through them, and acknowledge my helplessness against my addiction without the help of Christ. I had to do that and I still do that on a daily basis. I pray for Christ to take my will in my life and guide me in my recovery. And then I also do the serenity prayer of grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, which is me, and the wisdom to know the difference. That way I know I don't have any control over anybody or anything outside me. It's only on how I deal with the situations as the way Christ would have us do it. And that takes work. It takes me, and it's still, I do that today. It's difficult because I want to do things the way I want to do them, not the way that God wants me to do them. And I have to, when I recognize that and do what God wants me to do, my life becomes much better, much easier. I'm married now to a minister. I never in my life thought that would happen. First off, getting married, number one, and then married a lady who's a minister who I knew 30 years ago when I was clean. We worked together as she was a payroll clerk while I worked. And I'd lost contact with her, when I moved to Houston to work here. And that was God put that together. That's all I can say. I met her son at an NA meeting. Okay. And I knew his name. He had a very unusual name. So at the end of the meeting, when I walked up to him and introduced myself, and I told him that I had known him as a little boy, about 8 years old, and I knew his brother and I knew his mom, and he was like, his mouth opened up, because at that time I looked like an old hillbilly. I had a big white beard and I was driving trucks, and he was far from that. And after about a month, I came back. I would come back to Dallas about on a monthly basis to take about 4 or 5 days off because I was going across country in the trucks. And so I went back to the meeting and saw him again. And I gave him my phone number, and I had done it before, but I did it again. And I asked him, have his mom call me, and he finally did. She finally called me, and we got together on Christmas Day, 2017. And I ate Christmas dinner with her and her friend. They had some leftover from the day before because they'd had their family thing then. And I started calling her. She called me when I was on the road, and we got together and got married on November 12th. And it'll be 3 years this November, God willing. And my life is really, I never expected to be where I am now and how I've been blessed. And it's astounding. And I couldn't have done it without coming here. It would not have happened, and I am grateful for the Open Door Mission. The Open Door Mission is God sent. That's all I can say. And the people here are all doing God's will. They're doing God's will every day. And I'm really grateful that I am able to recognize that and to do God's will in my life so that I can be a positive influence on people rather than a negative influence like I was. Now I deal with negative emotions in a positive manner. Okay. Like when I was using, I'd learned early from my parents that if anything was bothering me, I could just drink and I'd feel better. And I would. It would change the way I felt. And I eventually graduated up to methamphetamine. I loved that way it made me feel. The problem with it is when you come off of it, the problems that I had used dope for were still there. I just didn't deal with them. I would walk away and not pay attention to how I felt and why I felt the way I did. Now I have an opportunity to examine why I might have a bad day or why I'm having a bad day and what I'm thinking. Okay, I'm able to think about what I'm thinking and find out the cause of why I feel bad. And I couldn't do that before I got to the mission, before I started getting clean and learning how to deal with those emotions and deal with and listen to God. I'm 63 years old now. I came in here when I was 54. I think I was 54. My birthday's in March, so I had a birthday here, and I didn't use any dope or drink any alcohol. And now I don't use any dope or drink any alcohol. I go to church, I go to meetings, and my life is so much better. Man, and I credit the Open Door Mission for all of for everything I learned. Okay, so that I could do that. And somebody told me in a meeting one time that if I pursued being clean and sobriety the same way I pursued dope, that I'd stay clean. And that's truth. That's truth. And once I do that, I have an opportunity to commune with God every day and ask for His guidance. And He does that. He does that. He willingly does. He's a gentleman. He won't do it unless I ask. But once I ask, he gives me what He wants me to do. and He's given me, like I said, a better life, a much better life, better than I ever anticipated or could think of.